Here is a simple illustration on how to achieve this blazer blouse. For this pattern, I'll be cutting it on a miniature size. So the first thing you want to mark is your shoulder to bust, your shoulder to waist, and your blazer length. After marking this, go ahead to outline my pattern, which is shoulder to bust, waist, and blouse length. I'll go ahead to mark my shoulder divided by 2. I'll add ½ inch to it, because this dress has a sleeve, and I'll come down by 1 inch. For the neckline, use a basic neckline of 3 by 1 inch for the back neckline of this dress. But first, go ahead to connect from your shoulder slant to your neckline. So mark your depth, the depth of the neckline, which is just 1 inch, and the width is 3 inches. Go ahead to find your chest line, which is your bust circumference divided by 6 plus 1.5, and I'll draw a straight line there. Place your ruler and mark your shoulder divided by 2 plus half. Place your ruler also and connect all the way to the upper part of the shoulder. Now divide your shoulder into 2 equal parts, come out by ½ inch. On the chest line, mark your bust circumference divided by 4 and go ahead to connect. Now, after you're done drafting out your armhole curve, the next step you're going to take is to go ahead to mark your darts. Go ahead to mark your nipple to nipple divided by 2, and I'm going to mark this all the way to the lower part of this pattern, and I'll draw a straight line. The next step is to mark my darts. I'll mark ½ inch on both sides of my waistline, and I'm going to be extending this up. So while connecting to the upper part, I'll come down a bit by 1 inch from the bust, and to the lower part, you can go ahead to measure about 4 to 5 inches for the dart length. Now go ahead to insert your measurement. Mark the bust circumference divided by 4 and just add 1 inch for your blazer. Mark your waist circumference divided by 4, measure the dart intake and just add 1 inch for the blazer sewing allowance. Mark your hip circumference at the blouse length and add 1 inch. For your blazer, you don't need much sewing allowance. I'll connect from the bust to the waist and all the way to the blouse length. After cutting this, you can go ahead to come up by 1.5 inches or 2 to give it that little stylish curve at the lower part or hemline of your blazer. So after this, I'll just go ahead to cut this out. And after cutting out, I'll just go ahead to cut out the front pattern of this dress. So to make it easier, what I'll do is I'll just go ahead to use this pattern I have here, but make sure you measure the neckline of your back pattern. So I'll just go ahead and place this on another pattern paper, and what I'll do is to go ahead to trace out. This will reduce the stress of going ahead to redraft your pattern. But if you want to go ahead to redraft your pattern for the front, you can go ahead to do that. The only difference is that you'll be having like a button allowance, and for the neckline of the front, I'll be readjusting it to 3 inches by 3, while for the back we use 3 by 1 inch. So I'll just go ahead to mark out the bust and waistline. So after marking that, this is what I have. I'll start by marking my dart. I'll mark my nipple to nipple divided by 2 again, and I'll go ahead to draw a straight line. I'm trying to insert my dart for the front pattern. Now I'll mark ½ inch on both sides of this pattern, and I will be going ahead to label my pattern. After that, I'll extend my dart all the way up, come down by 1 inch there before connecting, and repeat this at the other side and extend my other dart leg. So after I'm done marking this, right, for the neckline of this back is 3 by 1 inch. For the front, I'll go ahead to readjust it, but I'll mark out my starting line before doing that. I'll just go ahead to readjust my neckline to 3 by 3 inches here, right? So now this neckline for the back, I'll extend it all the way up. Whatever you have there, take it all the way up. Now I'll mark that measurement, come out by ½ inch there, and I will reconnect it to this point, right, so that the collar can relax. I went out by ½ inch so that the collar can relax at that part. What I'll do is to go ahead to add a button allowance in front of this pattern this way, and I'll blend it out. So after I'm done marking at this point, I'll come down and mark my under bust measurement. So from that under bust measurement, that is where I'll now come down a bit for the depth of the neckline of this dress. So from this point, I will go in by 1/2 inch, because if you look at the neckline of the dress, it is open at the center, and then I'll connect to the neckline of the dress. Now from here, you can go ahead to extend the lapel area depending on how wide you want it to be, right? So from here now, I'll be marking out my button allowance to the lower part, and I will outline it. Now you can use this measurement or go ahead to use what is okay for you. So from here, I'll draw like a curve so that when the collar relaxes at the other side, the center of your blazer will be open, just like we have in that picture. Now go ahead to mark how wide you want your collar to be. Let's say you want to use 3 inches, and from here I'll go in by 1 inch, and I will place my ruler and take it all the way up. I'll now go ahead to use my marker to outline. So this is what I have. Now another thing you want to take note of is at the upper part, there is another fabric entirely different from what we have at the lower part. So now you're going to pick a point where you want the neckline to be, and you're going to go ahead to connect it all the way this way. So I'll just quickly make a dot at that point to indicate that here is like a different fabric altogether. So after this, you'll be cutting out your pattern. For this particular dress, you'll be cutting out both the collar and the lapel area out, because the upper part you have to replace it with a lace or another fabric, while the lower part might be a crepe fabric. So that means I'm going to go ahead to cut it all out because of the different fabric we are going to be attaching at the upper part of this dress. Then after that, you just go ahead to rejoin your pattern to become one piece. You can also go ahead to decide to cut this pattern into two and rejoin it.